a 40-pound vest. I can only imagine if it was 100 pounds, but it makes me want to do some movements and training. This is amazing, a 40-pound vest. I can only imagine if it was 100 pounds, but it makes me want to do some movements and training.
Alexander Povetkin was going to be a very, very dangerous customer.
Yeah, you know, obviously he's a very dangerous guy. You know, I was bossing a fight, I was winning a fight, and I just got caught. It's one of those things here with boxing. It's not like I got beat up rounds after rounds, and you know, it just got clocked. That's all. You know, he dipped low, I shoot the hook, he came with the uppercut. You know, and that was it. But it's all good. The main thing is we got a rematch. We're gonna try and exercise the rematch, try and get it done by the end of the year. Have a couple weeks rest and get straight back in the gym, and it's not like, I need to improve on anything really, you know what I mean? That's has to just be a bit more switched on in certain stages and clock onto his partner a bit better, you know. When he dip low, you know, realize he'll come up with the hook or the uppercut. So it's a simple adjustment to make.
Any regrets about taking the fight itself? Because we talked a lot beforehand about the possibility that you could have just sat back and waited for your chance, but you wanted to have this fight, didn't you?
I have no regrets. It was a great fight, you know. Obviously Povetkin done well, you know. Like I said, I know I can beat him, I know I could beat him, and I showed it from round one, you know. I mean, from round one I was getting on to him, but you know, obviously he's a very experienced guy, and he pulled you know, it's like his corner was on the verge of pulling him out. And he pulled out one of the best punches of his career. But that's a bit boxing. It's just full of drama, ups and downs. You know, you have someone beat you, and I wanted to rush him in the fourth round because he's quite dangerous when he's hurt. He swings quite big punches and big hooks and stuff. But I thought it was boxing well, and you know, I done good, man.
It seemed like you were just annoyed with yourself, really, at the end of the fight for having got tagged with that.
Yeah, I was a little bit annoyed because it's a silly mistake. I blocked that punch 100 times in training. You know, and the one time it needed to be blocked, I was a little bit too late to block it, you know. I decided to counter instead of blocking it, and then that's what happens, you know. Obviously, he was on his last legs, and I was pressing him as well, so. But it's heavyweight boxing, man, you know, and that's what happens.
Those are the words of Dillian Whyte, straight from the gift horse's mouth, and, you know, doesn't sound discouraged. He doesn't sound like, you know, a little disappointed, sure. But he seems like a person that's driven like he's always been. Hey, yeah, we're going to get right back in there 2 weeks. I'm going to take a break, get right back in the saddle. We're going to have a rematch. And it was a very smart thing. And you have to give credit to Eddie Hearn and Dillian Whyte, because Dillian Whyte manages his own fighters to implement a rematch clause. Because if it was no rematch clause, that means Povetkin can do whatever the hell Povetkin wants to do. You know, I just feel me personally, Povetkin should have the same, should be in the same position that Whyte was in now, or was. You know, because he beat Whyte. Whyte was the number one. So he beats the number one. He becomes the number one. You know what I mean? But Dillian Whyte, you know, he's driven, you know, he's determined. You know, it's just another bump in the road, and it happens. And he made a good point. It was not like Povetkin was just beating him up or outclassing him or showing him that he doesn't belong in there with Povetkin. By no means, because a lot of people, again, they will look at a certain clip. They will see one punch, okay, and that was the best punch that Povetkin needed. It was also the only one that he needed. I mean, Povetkin did catch him with some right hands, some good body punches, I feel. But Povetkin took them back, and Dillian Whyte was getting the best or the better of Povetkin. Okay? So Povetkin showed that he's dangerous. Now, one thing I will counterpunch on Dillian Whyte, he said in the fourth round he didn't want to rush him because Povetkin is very dangerous, and because he's very dangerous when he's hurt. And then I seen that yesterday, but we've seen that also in other fights. We've seen that in the Dave Allen fight. The Price fight, right? So we've seen him knock out Price when Price was getting the best of him. So it's one of those situations where, him saying he didn't want to rush him, and he didn't want to finish him off. But I think that's exactly what he was doing in the 5th round. I think he, like he said, he was on his last leg and he was putting him in there, and he said, well, yeah, the one time he gets, he doesn't block that shot, or he doesn't keep his guard up to block that shot, he gets caught. Right? Now, you can look into that and say, well, maybe you didn't, you avoided, or you got caught with that shot because you were on your way to finishing Povetkin, and he knew it mentally. You know, it's almost like going downhill a mountain and expecting it just to keep going down, and then you see another ridge and you have to go up. Like, whoa, I got to go up this obstacle before I can go down again. So he thought it was all going down, but it wasn't, okay? And it was a curveball in this situation where he took this punch. He said he defended it 1,000 times, and now all of a sudden. But why do you think that is? I feel that he got careless, okay? Something he already knew to do, and he didn't do. And the one time he didn't do it, it cost him greatly, okay? So I think he needs to focus on that, because you look at it. He had his guard up. He had both hands up. This guy was respecting Povetkin because he knows that Povetkin can punch. Okay, and the other factor to this would be Dillian Whyte was getting the best of Povetkin, but I kept telling people the uppercuts is kryptonite for Dillian Whyte. Okay, that's and you know, until someone can prove me wrong, because each time he's been down or knocked out like he was last night was by Joshua or Rivas. And that was from uppercuts. Go back and do your research. So I think that's a punch that he really needs to focus on, because that, I think if it was any other shot, he would have been able to get out of that round. Okay? I think if it was any other shot, that's just a shot that is his weak spot, his weakness. The uppercut is his weakness. So that's what I believe, and that's what I gathered from Dillian Whyte. But all in all, he did a good job. Okay? He just needs to watch the uppercuts and really be mindful of that particular punch in any fight he gets into. Because here's my prediction now. If Dillian Whyte gets hurt or knocked out, if he's not fighting someone like Wilder, because Wilder has that right hand, but if he fights someone else and they can catch him with an uppercut, that same thing will happen. It might not be as dramatic because Povetkin does have power. And that's a surprising thing about Povetkin, that he had that power at 41. But the power is always the last to go. Okay? September 2nd, he has an early birthday present, don't he? But anyway, you guys tell me what you think about Dillian Whyte's and his reaction to his own shocking knockout loss. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace.